You and I are going wine shopping together. You can find a sensational bottle of wine for criminally low prices. Let's get started exploring and tasting new wines together. As we are currently in the season for winter sports like skiing and snowboarding, I thought it was only appropriate to introduce you to a mountain wine that was born for après-ski, made from grapes and from a region that truly not enough people know about. This is a white wine from producer Maison Philippe Viaillet from the Savoie region of France. The Savoie, spelled S-A-V-O-I-E, or also spelled S-A-V-O-Y, and its northern neighbor, the Jura, because these two regions are often kind of lumped in together, are both really cool, under-the-radar wine regions that make some really excellent wines that typically are meant to be drunk young, very fresh, very easygoing, but also some producers are making some incredible age-worthy wines. These areas and these wines are very popular in the sommelier community because they are so delicious, but also because they're so affordable. And especially when you start venturing into those wines that are meant to age a bit more, and you compare them to, say, aged Bordeaux, certainly aged Burgundy, aged Brunello, Barolo, the cost is so much more affordable, while the wines are still incredibly lovely. And it is also cool that not too many people know about it. It's fun to share that secret with the guests, just like I get to share the secret with you right now. So let's get to know our lovely friend a little bit better. The Savoie is located in the French Alps and shares a border with Switzerland to its east. Most of the vines in the Savoie are planted to elevation about 800 to 1800 feet. There are several different subregions in the Savoie, but this wine is labeled Vin de Savoie, which means that the grapes are coming from all over the area, typically from vineyards planted at the foot of the Alps. This is the only alpine wine region in France, and many of the grapes that you find here, you're not gonna find anywhere else in the world. In total, the wine region is only planted to about 5,000 acres, which is not a lot, and only produces about 0.5% of all of France's wine. But if you're like me and you love white wine, you're in luck because 70% of the Savoie's wine production is geared towards white wine. I think that seems a little counterintuitive to a lot of people. They're thinking it's chilly, it's cold, I want something big, rich, robust, a red wine. But if you think about it, you've been skiing or snowboarding or just falling on your butt all day, you're tired, you're hot, you're exhausted, you want something cool and refreshing. And also, if you are visiting this region in the winter, you're most likely going to be dining on some pretty heavy local cuisine. Things like fondue, or a dish called tartiflette, which is a lovely dish comprised of potatoes with a local ooey gooey melted cheese and ham and onions. Or there's also raclette, which is a Swiss cheese, but you'll find it in this region as well, where they scrape the cheese off onto your plate with, again, more potatoes and meat. Maybe you're noticing a trend here. It's very heavy, rich food. But I feel like if I had known that, I've never skied or snowboarded before, but if I had known that that was waiting for me at the end with a glass of this, I probably would have tried a lot earlier. So this wine is a blend of a few of those native grapes. Grapes like Jacquard, Alps, and Chasselas, and it has a little Chardonnay in there as well. So what do these grapes bring to the blend? Well, Jacquard, which is actually the most planted grape in the Savoie, about 50% of plantings are Jacquard, is designed to make a really nice, easygoing, light-bodied wine, typically low alcohol as well. This wine is 11.5%, which is great. It's a lot less dangerous when you're drinking this and then hitting the slopes again, right? So the Jacquard is making a lighter alcohol wine and also typically presents notes of a flintiness and a little florality as well. Then there's Alps, which has a little bit more character, so you're gonna see that grape being used a lot in wines that are meant to age. It imparts lovely notes of almond and honey. And then there's Chasselas, which, like Jacquard, is meant to make a really easygoing wine, but is a little bit rounder, a little fuller, with a little more texture. Then that Chardonnay is added in there, gives it a little more fruitiness, and of course, acidity, which we love. On the nose, it's very pretty. It's a little delicate. I think that's what I mean by that. All the notes are there, but they're subtle. They're not like slapping my face out of the glass. So on the nose, let's talk about that Jacquard. I'm absolutely getting some florality from that grape. jasmine, white flowers. And you do get this vague little hint of smokiness, of flintiness and minerality from that as well. I'm also getting some citrus notes, like bright tart grapefruit, slightly underripe peaches and pears. It's very subtle and pretty, but there is that little bit of saline on there. I'm also getting some kind of tropical fruit notes, like pineapple, maybe slightly dried pineapple actually, bergamot tea. Oh, there's some fennel on this as well. For this being such a delicate wine, I'm surprised at all the layers that I'm getting under here and all the other little notes that keep popping out. And a little of that honey as well. We talked about that from the Alps and other orchard fruits, apples. Let's see what it's like on the palate. It's a medium to medium plus acidity. Gonna be great with those richer, fattier foods like we talked about. Lighter bodied on the palate, little viscosity on there. It is lighter in alcohol, that 11.5%. So you don't get like, it's not sweet, there's no sugar on this, but you do get just like a little hint. Maybe it's the honey note on there that gives it just a little roundness as it kind of washes over your tongue, a little more texture. And absolutely lower alcohol. I'm not feeling any burn or anything, which I love. And I think that's great for, especially if you're gonna go continue doing physical activity where you could hurt yourself or someone else. But even just in general, like I could drink this whole bottle and not feel terrible about myself, maybe? I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. But on the palate, it's confirming all those lovely notes, especially the citrus. I have a lot more citrus coming out here and a lot more of those tart, slightly underripe pear, apple, yellow apple. I love that fennel note though, that's coming out really nicely on the palate. For anybody that hasn't had fennel before, sounds gross, but it's a anise licorice kind of flavor. It's very subtle on here, but it just balances the fruit and the floral notes on here really nicely. And there's that salinity again, this crispy little crackle of salinity at the top. As I mentioned before, this is gonna pair great with rich dishes that are high in fat because you have this lovely crisp freshness that's just gonna cut through all that. But this will also be great with seafood, particularly shellfish, I think. I'm cooking shrimp tonight, and you can bet your you-know-what that I'm gonna be drinking this with it, because I think it'll be absolutely lovely with that. If you like your Pinot Grigios, if you like some more subtle Sauvignon Blancs, if you like unoaked Chardonnays or like bone-dry Rieslings, you're gonna love this wine. I highly recommend grabbing a bottle of it. I grabbed mine at Costco for $9.99. Remember, you do not need to be a member to buy alcohol at Costco. I hope you're able to grab this bottle or something similar from the Savoie. Let me know what you think about it. I think you're really going to enjoy it. This is a wonderful, easy, and affordable way to keep exploring and trying new wines. Cheers, enjoy.